So we're going to start by talking about the US dollar, what I'm anticipating to see in the marketplace. In the previous live stream, I talked about this key level. If we go to the 1 hour time frame, we can see very clearly the inverted fair value gap resting right here as well, and how price expanded higher, came back into that key level. So if we're bullish on the dollar, I would like to see an expansion. At least this inefficiency here, I'll be anticipating for it to act as a drawn liquidity to attract price to the upside. Now, if we go to the 4 hour time frame, you can see clearly on the 4 hour time frame how price has consistently been so lethargic, going to the downside, mitigated this inefficiency, and then we saw a 15 minutes break of structure right here. So after that break of structure, we came back down again, mitigated the last move to the downside before the expansion that broke the structure. We mitigated it, and then right here we came back again, feel this inefficiency completely, and then we're seeing this rejection of that key level. So personally, I'll still be anticipating for higher prices on the dollar to go to the upside, potentially to rally above these highs. But don't forget, this high is a high resistance liquidity, and because this high took liquidity from this previous high, it might be an area that will cause some level of retracement or rejection. So if we do eventually run through above these highs, then I wouldn't be surprised to see price gravitate to the upside, potentially into this inefficiency and even running this buy side liquidity. So that is what I'm going to be looking forward to see on the dollar, and looking at the euro as well. I'm going to be anticipating to see the euro go to the downside. So right here, as you can see, we took a high right here. This is a 1 hour high, and after we took that liquidity, personally, I don't like the way that price is trending to the downside on the euro. I wanted to see more impulsive move if we're going to go to the downside, but price has just been so lethargic. But it still doesn't mean that we can't go to the downside if price wants to go to the downside, because there's a lot of liquidity resting at the downside. Firstly, is the relative equal lows resting right here, and secondly, if we go to the 4 hour time frame, you can also see that we have an inefficiency resting right here as well. So you can see the inefficiency that we have resting right here, this inefficiency, and also this inefficiency. And if we go to the daily time frame, so on the daily time frame, you can also see this low right here is liquidity. So two things are involved. It's either price is going to use it as support, continue higher to run this buy side liquidities, or price is going to drop lower to run the sell side liquidities. And if we go to the 16 hour time frame as well, you can see our break of structure. This was the last impulse move to the downside, mitigated this inefficiency before an expansion that broke structure. So I would personally want to see price come into this key level, either to mitigate the bodies of the candle, run liquidity, or liquidity from here could be the target. That is if we do eventually come into this key level. We have a high impact news coming out today, which is around today's Tuesday by 3 p.m. We'll have a high impact news today. So hopefully that should kickstart some level of volatility. We've not really had any volatility in the market this week. It's just been so slow and lethargic. So that is my analysis on Euro US dollar. So let's look at GBP US dollar. So after GBP US dollar took liquidity from these highs, we saw this reaction to the downside. So the next thing we'll look at this. There's not been any break of structure. We have a low, a high. We have this low, we have this high, and then as you can see, price came very close to the low, expanded higher. We're seeing reactions right here. So if we do eventually break this low, then potentially we could see lower prices on GBP US dollar to continue to the downside. So personally, that's what I would like to see, but I wouldn't trade GBP US dollar for sales. If I wanted to trade it, I'll trade it for buys. But personally, I wouldn't buy it from where it is right now. If I wanted to buy GBP US dollar, I'll prefer to buy it at a lower price. And right here, there's just too many liquidity resting right here. Like here, we'll have this low resistance liquidity, and price can potentially, for any reason, reverse and wipe this low. So that's why I wouldn't be interested in trying to buy it from where it is, but trying to sell it as well is something that I'm not interested in doing. So let's look at gold as well. Gold has really been on the rampage, going to the upside, and so far the next drawn liquidity on gold is this high. So price can easily run above this high any moment. But personally, if I wanted to get into a trade on gold, it will be in this key level. So if we don't see price coming to this key level, it just means I'm going to be on the sidelines for gold and not trade it. So that is my analysis on gold. So let's look at AUD US dollar. AUD US dollar, I was anticipating for itself from this key level. Price tapped into it yesterday. I wanted to see a 15-minute shift to market structure. We'll have a low, a high, a drop break structure, retest, drop down break structure, retest again, drop down, retest, inefficiency, drop down, price drop down really nicely. How I was anticipating to see it come down. And my key level where I'm anticipating to see AUD USD come down is to run the sell side liquidity. I talked about that last week. This is my target where I'm anticipating to see come back into. And right here is my target as well, a retracement target. I'll be waiting patiently to see price come into this key level. And if it does come in and I see a smaller time frame shift to market structure to the downside, then I'll be anticipating for a run on sell side liquidity. So let's look at NZD US dollar. So for NZD US dollar, I still want to see lower prices. I want to see price come into this key level, run on liquidity right here, liquidity resting right here, low resistance liquidity. You can see the low resistance liquidity resting right here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see price drop down to take out this liquidity. So for USD card, I'm still anticipating to see a rally on USD card, but in the meantime, I wouldn't be surprised to see a drop down to run sell side liquidities, because right here we'll have a low resistance liquidity resting right here. So price can easily drop down to take out this liquidity. So let's have a brief look at the cryptos as well and see what Bitcoin is doing so far. So personally, I still want to see an all-time high in Bitcoin, and we were very close to that, about 200 pips. You can see how close we were to the all-time high. Right here is the all-time high, 69,000, and we came as high as 68,800, just about 140 pips to take the all-time high, and then we saw this rejection. So as you can see, where we rejected into inefficiency. So all we would like to see from here would be potential 5-minute shift to market structure, and then potential rally to take the all-time high. So that is my analysis on Bitcoin and where I'm anticipating to see Bitcoin gravitate to. So if you do have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat and I'm going to be there to answer you. So let's look at Ethereum as well. So for Ethereum, I talked about this key level on Ethereum. This key level right here, if we were bearish, that's the key level that would have sent us to the downside. But I said, if we smash through this key level, we're going to use it as support. And then all-time high will be the next point of interest to look out for. And as you can see, price has smashed it. So the next thing to anticipate, you can see right there, after we broke the high, we came back down, used it as support, expanded higher. So the next key level to anticipate to see price come into is 3,897. Once we smash that, the next key level to look out for would be the all-time high, 4,900. So that's my analysis on Ethereum. If you do have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all next time. Have an amazing day.